Welcome to another episode of the Bird Herd, presented by Redbird Esports. Today we have Gigatron as well as Saxy Maxi interviewing Snail from our R6 Club. So, how you doing, Snail?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing good.
This is it. This is my week.
This is your week, definitely.
I finally know the game that we're talking about. I get to talk about Rainbow Six Siege. It's so much fun. All right. So Snell, obviously got a lot to talk about here with Rainbow Six among the Redbird esports being such a growing part of the community, especially having two teams this year, varsity and a JV, and not to mention varsity already going 3-0 in the fall league here for collegiate. So what do you think in the past year has been the biggest improvement to the Rainbow Six RSO?
I think a lot of it was the fact that, there's a little bit of luck that kind of went into it. The odds of most universities, they struggle to even find 5 players that are all, playing at a high level. So the fact that we could put a team together that's just that had players of that caliber, put them together in the spring. And then the fact that coming from basically nothing, Illinois State was not really known for anything before the spring of 2020 in Siege, at least. We kind of we put on a performance and had upsets, and we kind of put ourselves out there so much that now we go around and everyone knows who we are. I think that's a bigger thing, is that just in the esport in general, everyone knows who Illinois State is. And just as a club, we've improved so much in the form of just being more structured. We have, as you said, we have 2 teams. The varsity team communicates all the time. And so same with our JV team, they're always practicing and doing different things. And so the commitment level is a lot better as well. And so just overall, it's more like a real team than before, where it didn't seem like it didn't seem as structured as before. There was just less play together, teams, they weren't playing as much, they weren't practicing as much. The results weren't nearly as good. When spring came around, all that changed, and we started to see that we're a top contender in R6, and we're going to continue to be, at least for this next year,
Absolutely,
with our roster. So really, we're just going to be just keep doing what we're doing and just trying to make this RSL better and better, and just keep producing high quality results that represent the school well.
And honestly, just being heavily involved in the Siege community myself, I've this doesn't really reflect on our RSO as much as it reflects on you. But if there's a T3 league for Rainbow Six Siege, Snail is in it. Every Discord that I go into, I go and look for Snail's name first, and I almost always see it. So you're obviously very established in the Rainbow Six community. Lots of people know who you are. Not to mention, congrats on your division. Snail is one of the top contenders of people that have stayed alive during the games. So he's doing well already this season. You guys obviously going 3-0 so far. But yeah, lots of good work happening there.
Question is, do you have no death games?
Okay, so I think that has happened to me once. Obviously in Siege, it's not a game where you should go with no deaths. You should definitely die a few times.
Sure.
For sure. If you're not dying, it's it's just kind of nice. I guess you could say. Yeah. So I think we had one game where I might have not had any deaths, or I had one death. I've had one death a few times in games. We have 7-0'd a lot of teams on maps. So I think in the first 2 weeks I had a total of 6 deaths through 31 rounds played. So I don't die very often, but that's because my team is just the boys I'm playing with are just absolutely.
Yeah. You look at the scoreboards and you see Patience in this past week dropping 20 kills in a match. obviously you're not going to be getting as many kills as per se, obviously your entry roles. But we talk about the JV, I should mention, the JV talks about it all the time, that Snail playing hard support and IGLing is very good at exactly what he does. He gets in there, he gets the plant off, and then he stays alive. So even though you're not getting kills, obviously doing a lot of good work in terms of helping the team be successful in winning rounds, directing people to where they need to be. And I mean, even without you, being, if you weren't able to give the best call outs, the people surrounding you, I mean, our entire varsity team is just absolutely nuts. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing, and the team chemistry looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, in this season, we've had some really interesting changes actually, because when we had placed fifth in the spring of 2020 season when we kind of made a name for ourselves, and then we went into the summer season being the contenders for like winning it all. Everyone thought that we were going to do it, and we ran into a University of Montreal team that was they're really good as well, very well structured, and they tested some of our limits in which we were not exactly prepared for. They did what they did really well, and we took them all the way, and we ended up losing. We took them all the way to the cider map, even though everyone thought that it was going to be over for us after we lost our first map against them. And what we learned is that our team has every player has a different background, and I think that's one thing that a lot of teams in amateur and in college they don't have, like that type of style where someone is a specialized in something and no one else is really, like, everyone else knows what that is, but it's not like their specialty. And that when we started communicating around and listening to everybody, so our IGLing, like if we see something that's more new meta and that hasn't been used a lot, usually that would defer mostly to me, and I try to best describe what we're going to see when we enter the building based on how they're setting up. But I mean, a lot of it now in the IGL stages, it's just everyone making calls. Like in our previous match, we were faced against a Minnesota team that was giving us a little bit more than we had originally thought they were going to give us. And, I told us, I was basically talking about what the strat would look like that we were going to see. And then Patience he went up to a kitchen window on Coastline and he realized that they didn't put anyone in sight, which the team they had the strat set up the correct way, but they weren't playing the strat correctly. And that's something that if we didn't get that information from him, we would have probably had to go through their entire defense instead of just us running into the site in a 4v1 basically on site that we had. We just take site, I just drop down plant, and then the rest of it is just easy to do because, they have 45 seconds. They have to get to the diffuser, and diffuser's in a really tough spot because our site setup, when we take site, we're pretty good at setting up a defense for post plant because we do it so often that it's basically like a guaranteed round win if we hit down the plant. So that's just like, it's more of a whole team effort and everyone just communicating what they know and what they see. And just, if we all listen to each other, we kind of have like a mob mentality when doing it. Like if we see something that if someone's calling something, they're like 100% sure that this is going to be free or this is going to be like easy to take, we kind of all get behind them and we just kind of push with that because we're really good at also picking up like people's mistakes. Like when you're playing us, if you make a mistake, no matter how small, we will abuse it to be the biggest mistake possible, and we will just run you over from that.
Yeah, and I can, tell you firsthand from scrimming the varsity team that you guys are very fast to find flaws, and if you find the flaws, you're going to make us pay for them. That was even before we had our match this past week on JV when we were doing like a little bit of a scrim against the varsity, and I was just like, oh my God, like this is brutal. This is just brutal. I mean, it obviously, being an already established team, you guys have an advantage and you guys are very skilled at the game. So outside of like playing Rainbow Six Siege, I know that you also work a decent amount or like around different leagues in production and casting yourself. Would you say, like, what are your goals for the Rainbow Six community? I guess I should say, would you want to go and try and play, CL after college, or would you, rather be on more of a production side of things?
Um, I mean, I've been working in, the amateur T3 scene for about 4 years now, and I kind of was actually like finishing it up at the end of my freshman year. I was working for an organization that made some really questionable decisions in the way that they chose to handle things with the pandemic. And obviously, I was not okay with how they were handling things. So I kind of left there and immediately, since I'm now playing college more and more, the college league that we actually play in decided that they really needed someone with my skill set to help them out and basically bring them to the next level that they want to be at. So I think that in terms of casting and stuff like that, I mostly do it as favors for like just old friends and leagues that really need somebody at the moment right now. And I'm mostly just working with Collegiate R6, our league that we play in. It's one of the two leagues we participate in that just to try to make their league better and try to just keep pushing there. But I mean, after college, I don't really see myself trying to go into CL. It's mostly just playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's obviously
Yeah.
still so many opportunities to play, even if you're not at that CL level. And I think I honestly do think that T3 and T4, just like 10-man tournaments, stuff like that, are so much fun. And like that side of the community is a really good time. It's not just what you see like toxicity level wise on Twitter. There's a lot more to the game itself.
Yeah, I tended to. I actually never really used Twitter when
Good.
when I was an amateur. I It was actually quite weird. A lot of like my Twitter following would be much better now if I actually used it and promoted it like my fellow coworkers did when we were running leagues. But I actually use it now more for college because just playing and posting our results and letting people like see them and having that stuff be known. When I went to college, I kind of just fell in love with the college level of play. Teams not disbanding after 2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
Just the consistency, like we are more of a like a CL or PL style team in that way. And I mean, I don't really have any goals in terms of going to PL or going to CL. Maybe as a coach, getting up there. I know I was thinking about it a little while ago, making a shot at it, but in the end, I decided that I like playing the game a lot, and I have a team behind me that can do a lot. So I wouldn't want to put my focus on anything else other than what's in front of us right now, and that's trying to win a national championship. So I'm just fully committed to that end of things.
Right. And Rainbow Six is one of those games where you could really never count yourself out. And I think that you guys are obviously on top of the division right now. And I think that you guys could 100% go and make some upsets happen. Who would you say are your biggest competitors going into this season?
I mean, for us, divisionally, I think Purdue, they definitely pose some sort of threat. I don't think it's going to be one that's large enough to really scare us at all. But they are a team that we have to make sure that we are playing some of our better siege when playing them. Akron, as always, they're like the king of esports. That college is just ridiculous in every esport that they play. They're going to be a team that is going to be a tough competition. They match up really well against us. They have a pretty heavy fragging lineup, so they're a team that's going to be tough. And UDEM, TTU, Texas Tech, I should say, California State University, Long Beach, maybe an Oregon State or maybe not. We are really unsure right now this season. Really, there's only a few teams that have really showcased themselves as top teams, and it's us, Akron, and Texas Tech. Really, everyone else is kind of a toss up. But the thing about Siege is you never know if someone is on their game and they're hitting what they need to hit. They're doing what they need to do. You can beat anybody, no matter how good or bad like you are or the other team is. That's why we just have to stay focused on just playing our game and not getting thrown off our game early.
Absolutely. And the varsity has given us that speech many times, especially as we go into the first few weeks of competing as a JV team itself. It's very easy to get your mentality down and to see going into games other people's ranks and just be like and count yourself out. And even for me, I'm not any different. I'm one of the people on the team that definitely has to and is a little bit improving at like just having a better mentality. Cause like I'll see the ranks and I'll be like, oh, well, we're screwed. So like, good luck. But definitely realizing that Siege isn't all rank, because let's face it, Siege ranked is a different breed.
Yeah.
Just like league ranks, it's a different breed in itself.
And Snail, you play some League on the side there. I've seen it on stream a few times.
Oh yeah, I'm really bad.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, League is just a whole nother level. It's like Siege. It's like a lot of these games are just like so like you have to have the skill cap for it sometimes. And if you just don't have it, like you're not gonna enjoy it from a competitive standpoint. You might enjoy it from a casual standpoint. Like me for League, I'm like it's very casual. So like yeah, I know how to coach and cast and do different things for it, but like you look at my rank and I'd be like, yeah, I ain't iron or bronze, but I'm climbing myself out of silver and trying to get into gold to get those gold rewards. But it's a completely different thing. But so I have technically two questions. One kind of follows up on the other. So my first question is, so who's your favorite operator? Since I just saw there's so many operators in there.
Oh, I mean, I'm the hard breacher.
Okay.
I love my man Thermite.
556 for days.
Oh yeah, he's been in the game since day one. His homie Thatcher never gets to be played anymore. He gets banned all the time because Thatcher too OP. But I really like. I'm a big Thermite guy. Ace, he's budget. I call him budget Thermite, even though some people call him upgrade Thermite. But I don't know. I don't like Ace as much. He's a good op though. He's got a little bit better gun than Thermite. And then I guess I got to go with Habana and Maverick. Just the 4 hard breachers.
Every hard breacher.
Every hard breacher.
Every hard breacher I like. And then Zofia, her gun. I like that. I get to play her on Coastline. And,
really?
I drop kills. Let's put it that way. I get kills with Zofia on Coastline.
Can never count out my man Kaid though. I knew that you and him are best friends.
Kaid is my literally. If I had to just one operator, I'd never want to give up. I'd be Kaid. I know so much about this guy. I literally know every way to play him. I work tirelessly to make sure that I'm always up to date on new stuff that you can do with him, and basically, yeah, it helps a lot when you're playing a competitive setting and they can't get the wall open because you're just too big brain for them.
And yeah, I mean, you do. You were a good coach about making sure that we all know like where the best Kaid spots are on the map. You've definitely got it down to a T at this point, though.
Yeah, I feel like something that really helped our varsity team in basically in like becoming just so much better is that the respect that we had for each other. When you start playing a new team, like you have to like it's harder to respect the people that you're playing with when you don't know them as well, and like you don't really know how to feel about everyone's like play style and stuff like that. And so what we kind of did is most teams, like, and you're in an amateur team and someone doesn't fit your play style, you just kind of like pick up a new player that fits the play style better. And in college, you can't do that. So we all learn to respect each other's play styles. And I think that's what makes our team just so much better, is that instead of trying to play, around one style, we have so many styles that when teams are attacking us, they don't know what they're going to get. Because, if you're coming into site and you have like Patience is around site somewhere at all the times, and if you can get by Harabic and Fortra, who are arguably one of the best roaming duos in the college scene right now, and if you can get by our roamers, then you still have to get to the site and try to open a wall. It's just not going to happen. Try to push a door and Ducky's going to be swinging you with the Aldo or whatever gun he's got. Like, he's going to be pushing you. And it's just really hard to predict with this team, like where people are going to be and how people are going to be playing, because I won't peak for 3 minutes, whereas my counterpart Ducky in sight, he will peak instantly. And Patience has been lately, he's been really, really good at helping out Fortra and Harabic when they need it. Like his timing has been really on point. and just he's been able to push up, and they've been able to take on entire teams before they even touch the site. And Ducky and I don't see people for 3-4 rounds when we're just sitting inside alone. We're just like, so how you doing, Ducky? He's like, yep, how are you doing? And we're just basically waiting, hearing the gunfire and
talking in game chat.
Yeah, sometimes we talk in game chat. I mean, one of the keys is we have to interpret Harabik's different screams.
Oh no.
When he roams, he does like his roaming is unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's
scary. It's scary to go against.
Yeah, he's really smart with how he goes about it. And the fact that him and Fortra roam like quote unquote together, but like Fortra has his own style of roaming, which is a little bit different than Harabik's, which makes it really nasty because Harabik, when he needs Fortra there, he's in a position where Fortra can help him. And when Fortra doesn't want anyone near him, where Harabik is pulling the enemies away from him, Fortra can like maneuver that and like stay alone and like still get tons of picks. Even if they kill Harabik, he can pick them all off leaving from killing him. And I mean, that's just something that just makes this team just crazy because of different styles of play and how flexible we are as a team. Just the guy will face like 4 people and he'll do like a scream. And then Ducky and I basically sit on site. And I've asked him a few times, like, so what does that scream mean? Or like, I just make a guess on like what the scream is. I'm like, oh, he sees somebody or someone just shot at him. And, he's had I think his most famous match that just everyone was like, oh my gosh, this guy is insane. We were playing an all-star team, which was combined of Texas Tech and Mississippi State, this Mississippi State player we were playing against he might be the best player in collegiate. Definitely one of the best. And Harabik was solo roaming against a 4-man roam clear, and all you hear is a screech from Harabik's end. And then you just see a kill feed of 3 people dying on the other team. And I'm sitting on site. I'm just like, oh my. he just like that's all I could think. I was just like, there's just no way this could just scream and wipe their whole team. Like that's literally how things like go. If he screeches, something is happening. It's like a really ear like hurting screech. It's like just and then just just kills people. And interpreting his screeches is something that's like it keeps me engaged, honestly.
Obviously, like all you guys' gun skill and knowledge of the game is impeccable being on varsity and being at the level that you guys are at. But I will say Patience and Harabik, they just have, I feel like, some of the best aim I've seen. And it's scary to go against it. We are all terrified scrimming against Harabik because that's just how good he is. We did a 3v3 yesterday, actually. And I was upstairs in one of the maps, and I droned it out, didn't see Harabik, and he shot somebody, and I was about to refrag it, and he was reloading his gun, and even though he was reloading his gun, he was still able to like get me before I could get him, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like he's incredible. It's just it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, in the summer season, our summer season was probably the best season we had as a team in terms of our players on the leaderboards. Like Patience finished 4th place in kills, and he had dropped 193, and Harabik finished 8th in kills at 180. And so just no other team had, I don't believe any other team. Yeah, no other team had 2 players. Actually, one other team had 2 players in the top 10, but neither of them were as high as Harabik and Patience were. And just like statistically overall, like assists wise, like Harabik was on the top for assists. So when he had 63 assists, 3rd place, and then Fortra coming in at 7th place in assists. Like this is out of, I think it was 54 different teams in summer league. And then like, survival rate, I was in 8th place over the course of this season. And then a funny statistic is that Harabik had the most deaths. He had the 2nd most deaths in the league, but he still had a positive KD ratio. And I think like that's just something that just shows how powerful we are as a team, is that almost our entire team is placing in the top 10 of the league. And just no matter, like, even though the team that won the league won the summer season, they only had 1 player even placed in the top 10 on any of those leaderboards.
Oh wow,
compared to us.
That's like, insane to think about too, because it's like, I know you guys are really good, because I mean I've played with Fortra too, with League, and I know a lot of you guys play with different games too, and it's just kind of like, oh my god, like I've watched your guys' games, and I'm just like, why can't I be that good in other shooters? like I look at CS and I'm just like, I'll never touch that game ever again. I just can't. Like, and even when I play Valorant, I'm just like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm not great. I'm all right, but it's like, nothing compares to, like, I think Overwatch and Warzone for me is like being my top games for shooters. But like, yeah, like you guys are definitely correct. I can't even explain how I now want to play Rainbow Six Siege because of that. I love R6 games. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've played a lot of, I can't think of the game now, back in Vegas. I played Vegas 1 and 2 plenty of times as a kid. And now I'm just like, okay, now I want to get into Siege.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Tom Clancy's took a major risk in making Siege, to be honest. It was the first game that they were making that was truly entirely multiplayer. Because I know a lot of their previous games were, single player story mode type things. At least from the documentary of Siege I watched, that's what it was saying. So, the fact that the game has come so far from when it first got released. The fact that they, during Operation Health, which was one of their seasons, they completely reinvented the game. They took it from a game that was, pretty good to becoming probably one of the most elite shooters, like, of all time. It's amazing to think that a game could be like, it's very realistic in terms of, how it's made. Like, there is backstories to every single operator. And I mean, there's been some like, a lot of people who just look at Siege, they just see like a shooter game with blood, and they kind of like, throw it out the window. Like, oh, that's a gory game, that's how it is, right? But in reality, it's the exact opposite. Whereas like every operator in the game, the whole thing is actually a giant simulation. In the fact that the operators they're all part of counter-terrorist task forces from across the world who are like.
Oh no, he cut out.
I know you cut out again, Snail. Oh no.
I will say that like Siege right now definitely has its problems in terms of like headshot registering is not that great. I mean, there's a lot of people asking right now for basically another Operation Health or an overhaul.
There's a hot fix, basically, kind of like what Halo did for Halo 3. Because Halo 3, I got like those shots. Like I'm like, my buddy would be like, dude, you're a good sniper, or like, you're a decent sniper. Why the heck are you not hitting your shots? And I'm like, I'm literally aiming at it and I'm factoring bullet. Like, like it's not lasers in those, you still have some bullet resistance to kind of deal with it. I'm like, dude, I'm literally hitting them and they're body shots. I'm like, it's head. How is it not head? And then, quality of life came in and I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm actually decent at the game again. And they're just like, wait, how do you go from like being someone who played an MLG to now like, what the heck? Like, you can't even do anything. I'm like, yeah, it's because the game sucks. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bug issues right now in Siege, and like there's just a lot that's going well for the game, but there's also some other things that like aren't going. And this actually leads me to one of the questions I had for Snail is like, what do you think they could make better about the game right now?
I mean, the hacking situation,
they're
doing a good job taking care of it. I've seen less and less hackers, but I've also only played like 15 games of ranked this season. I feel like
nobody wants to play ranked right now because of that.
Yeah, I don't blame you guys like at all.
I could see that. I mean, one thing that I think they need to change in the terms of production and for leagues, multiple spectators. Yes. You've got to get that in the game. Like, absolutely. You can't keep sitting here with your single spectator and trying to stream the game and cast the game. It's just awful. They need to really fix that. They're coming out with a replay system so you can watch matches. You can see what you did wrong to learn from your mistakes. So that I think is really, really good.
I did too.
I guess in terms of gameplay, the hit reg is still just so
bad.
It's always going to be bad. I think that's one thing that's just going to suck because, they worked really hard, to try to make it so that you could, like, if you had high ping, you were going to be less effective, in the game. But no, it's not true. It's if you know how to play on your ping, you can do great things. I kind of hope they take out like quick peeking. I think that's a really big problem in Siege as well. Like just the fact that someone can kill you with an insta headshot and that you can't even see them.
Right.
Is just ridiculous.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that completely too. It's like even in like, was it, like I said, I play like Warzone and other games. I'm just like, how am I not hitting these? Or it's like the quality of life change, I feel like, with a lot of games is getting there. I think it's just taking a little too long, which I mean, I get it's a design thing, you know, nothing's going to be fixed overnight, but it's like, I don't think like it should take you guys 6 months to fix an issue. That's probably something that could be done in 3 months or less, kind of a thing. Because you have to look at like a season's what, like 3 months for you guys, maybe 2 months, right?
A season is 3 months.
Okay. You should never go through a season dealing with that issue. I mean, I don't know why games just do it because they can. But it's like I was looking like right now on Twitch, like I feel bad that like R6 doesn't have enough streamers right now, especially when NAL is on right now, especially like you're only getting 12K people watching that. Like compared to like I go look at Warzone and I'm like, oh well, Tifu's on, he's pulling more people than that right now. And it just doesn't make sense why a game that's technically been around longer, I guess, than Call of Duty Modern Warfare in that aspect. But a game that's been around for so long, and especially Siege, like I love R6 games. Like Tom Clancy's put out a lot of good games that I'm just like, why can't we just see more of a competitive scene, I guess, or more of a, I guess, streamed game essentially, because of the fact that I guess others are just outscaling it for people. Or
even take like the Division 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of that came from, well, R6 kind of got messed up. Like Ubisoft kind of screwed up R6 pretty bad for a while. They had this dev team that was just elite. Like they were top tier devs. Everything was great in the game when they were devs.
Mm-hmm.
They put them on their new game. So they brought in a new dev team.
Okay.
Well, they bring in a new dev team screws up the game.
No,
and
geez.
They continue to, like, they try to fix it. They try to push out new things. And I mean, to be honest, you know, the player base of Siege is a tough one to handle, right? Because,
sure,
you know, I say like the top streamers, right? They're very, I don't like to watch R6 streams. I personally don't. I don't like to watch anyone actually first person play the game.
Really?
Those streamers are just, you know, they have viewers because like they just get mad at the game and like, I guess not to throw shade, like one of the most famous,
hey, King George.
Yeah, King George, or like Kickstar, one of the most famous casters.
Oh, absolutely.
In Siege. You know, our Harabic was playing against him in a match because Harabic's a really high ranked player, and this Kickstar is, you know, he's not like he's not better than Harabic by any means. And Harabic makes a really smart play to kill him, and his first response is, you know, these guys are idiots. Like what? You just got absolutely toasted by a guy who literally outplayed you, and your first response is that. Like that is the problem in Siege, is that every streamer that plays ranked that dies blames something other than maybe the guy's just better than me. You know, I think that's the main reason why those streamers aren't getting any views, because no one wants to watch that. If you own the game, you want to play the game,
right?
Watch someone else play, because it's not nearly as enjoyable to watch someone else play the game. I find it really boring for first person view. Third person, I will watch those streams all the time. From a match between two comp teams, those I feel like are pretty good, but a lot of people can't stand to watch those either, because, you know, in the amateur scene, some teams are just, they hurt to watch. Same with college. There are college teams that we've played that I could have literally made myself a 5-course meal, sat back down, and still we would not have lost a round, and I would not have died. That would like legitimately at this, like, we're a very good team, obviously, and we make some teams that are, you know, half decent look like they're trash cans. But like there are some teams that you are just like, this like, there are teams that we hurt beating. Like, it hurts us more to constantly kill these guys over and over again. Like Patience does some of these spawn peaks that, you know, they're old. They're not like new spawn peaks. They're not like I haven't seen them done often. I'll give that to them. Like, but they work all the time. Like, that's great. Like he is so consistent on his spawn peaks, and it's one of the reasons why we win so many early rounds is because he does it. He does it like once on each site for the certain map, and he always kills somebody. So we always have that advantage when we're playing. But he's done those spawn peaks before, and he's gotten like 3Ks and 4Ks on teams. Like he runs out and shoots 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the head in one fluent motion, or he runs out, hits one guy, runs back in, runs out of the same spot again, hits another guy. Like, he's a great player, but like, come on, guys. Like, he's running out of one hole.
Right.
You eventually you got to do something about it. Like,
right.
It's like that's when it hurts. Like when I went 1-0-1 in a game one time, and I think our JV played the team that we 7-0'd them. We beat them so badly. They got 8 total kills as a team or something like that. Literally after the map, we always say good half. They said GG, and I'm like, no way, these kids are about to do this. They literally just go, yeah, we forfeit map 2. We don't want to play.
I think is that the team that we beat too?
Yeah, that's the team that our JV team, they beat them pretty good. And like, that you just like, they even said from our side, like they knew that it wasn't fun for us.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you never want to, I guess, have those games too. Cause it's just like for us, it's like, cause like with League 2, which just like our teams, like last week was just a little rough for my team because it's like, we executed the comp that we wanted perfectly, almost to a T, and we just couldn't close out the game. And I felt bad for them because they literally did everything that they could pretty much to the best way. We were so far ahead, and it's just like, oh, well, it's even farther in the late game, and they have scaling champions that, just beat us. And it's just like, we felt bad because it's just like, okay. And then now it gets into your mental, and then like the next game, it's just like, all right, well, you don't want to forfeit, but it's just like, you don't also want to run it down either, kind of a thing. So it's just like, we want to make sure it's obviously a league where it's fun for people, but we also don't want it being like, oh my God, like that was just the most boring game for me. Yeah, we won, but it's like the most boring thing in general. And it's like, it comes back to the fact that like what you talked about, like you don't want to watch streamers because it's the same thing of like, you think the first person view is just boring. And I can understand it completely. I would rather, I guess, watch a game be casted, like again, like R6 Null right now, or just any series essentially. I'd rather, I think, watch it casted because it's the same thing. You can have that view where you're switching in between people, or you're switching and getting that top view where it's like League is just, I always have top view and there's nothing else essentially. I think that is the one thing I like about shooters, at least R6 and Counter-Strike and all those, is you can switch between the two, or it's just like, I would not want to zoom in first person on a League of Legends champion and be like, oh, how are they doing? Oh, they missed that, and oh my God, what's happening now right now? Kind of a thing. So
yeah, I would say that I would definitely agree with that stuff is pretty important in games, and one of the things that we always do on our team is we know we're really good. We can look at a ranks of a team and we know ahead of time, we're like, oh geez, like we know we're about to smoke them. And so we're like a lot of teams, they might get bodied by us, but we're never like ever disrespectful to any of these teams. Like they could be straight silvers and they're playing diamonds and high plats. That's what shows a really good comp team in collegiate is, if you're diamonds, high plats, champs, all that. We never really toxic to them. We're always just playing our game. We're doing our thing. Like just, play the round by round. The other teams, they tell us after the game, we're like, yeah, sorry, we didn't even make that close. And we're like, nah, it's fine. It's just how matchmaking goes, right? Swiss bracketing kind of makes it so like, every week, week 1 and 2, there's going to be a lot of blowouts because, those top teams are playing these, bottom teams, and it's just not going to be close. But it kind of hurts us more, I'd say, as the weeks go on, because sometimes, we've played Minnesota, Twin Cities, the University of Minnesota, 3 times now.
Yeah.
Since we've started. And first time we played them, we beat them really bad, I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly, it was like 14-2 or 3 or something like that. And then, something like that score line. And then the second time we played them, we don't really know what they were thinking. They took us to a map that we 7-1 them on the first time. And so they took us back to that map and we 7-0'd them. And so we kind of didn't feel too bad then because, they knew not to take us there, but they did anyways. But then this past week we played them and they basically knew, they kind of know like how good we are. So what they did is they decided to like, there's like crutch operators in Siege, and you can play those ops, and it's kind of like gentlemen's. A lot of teams say, you gentlemen's agreement not to play
Absolutely
the toxic ops, and so the servers were really trash, as Ubisoft servers normally are, and lagging all this stuff. And then they're bringing a Ying, who basically, if you don't know what Ying does, she just flashes everybody, and you can't see anything. And then they brought a Clash, who is basically a giant shield on defense that literally zaps you, so you can't move. Absolutely the worst thing ever. And we played against them on map 1, and we get to map 2, and by that we lost map 1. That was the first time we ever lost a map to this school, and we almost beat them even when they're using these ops. We lost 8-7, and we're like, oh my gosh, we were not happy about it. And we're like, okay, we're going on this next map. We are banning this operator, and we're gonna beat them. We went out, we beat them, did exactly what we said. Go to the next map. We are banning Ying and Clash. We're not letting them through. Not here. Not now. We just killed them like we normally do. It's just, this is how it works. Really, it's just we take away those ops are like in the game to try to even up the playing field, but with the ban system, you can just take them away, and then it's all like fair from there. Most teams, we were surprised they actually won with those ops. Because they used them really effectively. You could tell this team practiced, scrimmed. They did a lot more preparation for the match than we did. So they had that on us, but we're just a really resilient team. Like, we never go down without a fight. And I don't think, if I'm correct, I don't think we've ever lost a game 2-0. I'm pretty sure on every team that we have ever played, we have taken a map and lost. The only game that we lost 2-0 was against that was before we had our 5-man roster that we have now. I don't think we've ever lost a game without taking down a map for our side.
All right, you guys usually do make it pretty close, pretty even. We are running pretty low on time here. Gig, you got any other questions?
Yes. It's a quick, simple one. What's your top 3 favorite maps and worst maps? Did you like to play on?
There's 7 maps in the competitive queue right now. So
my top 2 then.
Top 2, I guess. I mean, top 2 is easier. Clubhouse Cafe and Coastline. Those 3 maps. Love those maps. Worst map by far, Theme Park. Hate that map. And Constant. Constant is so stale. He needs to get kicked out of the queue right now.
I would actually 100% agree with everything you just said there.
Yeah, that's about it for those.
No, I completely understand. I mean, I'm glad we get to talk to you, because I don't think I've actually ever talked to you before, to be honest. Other than maybe like in Discord for like one chat or something like that. But other than that, like I don't think I've ever talked to you on voice. So it's definitely nice to talk to someone else other than my league people or just people I know in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
All right. Well, Snail, thank you so much for coming on to the Bird Herd. It was a lot of fun to be able to talk about Rainbow Six and the current affairs of the Rainbow Six RSO and whatnot. Until next time, I'm Saxy Maxi, joined with Gigatron and Snail, saying goodbye and have a good one.